right, welcome back to All Hitches, Nova's #1 football podcast. Coach Mesa, happy holidays to you, buddy.
Happy holidays. We're almost there. I have finally kind of unfrozen after being at the game yesterday into the evening, and we stayed late. We closed that place down.
We did close it down.
We did.
Yeah,
we were
man.
Last one. You had the bartender on the side cleaning up the glasses, telling us, "You guys got to go. You guys got to get out of here."
It was time to go. Yeah, I'm still kind of thawing out from last night. And there he is, Carl Frederick from PrepRedzone. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Sorry, I had a little Wi-Fi connection here, but we're good to go. You know, I'm
you all thawed out? You thawed out from last night?
Yeah, my feet are still like getting feeling back, but everything else is good to go.
You're tough. You're a Philadelphia guy. You're a Pennsylvania guy. You're used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Forget I said anything. We're good to go.
Well, hey, that was a good time last night. And I know I said it. I don't know what ended up being on air and what didn't, because we had some issues at first with the connectivity issues. But got to thank Madison, thank John Kenny, thank all of them for what a classy thing they did yesterday. Good, nice setup over at Madison.
Yeah, we're really appreciative of that, and not just that though, but the Madison fans over there. You know, we got a lot as we walked in. You know, I tell people all the time. You know, I'll read it again. When you and I first started this thing, we thought for sure no one was going to listen. It's going to be 10 people. 2 of them would have been our wives, who would have been like, "Why are you still doing that kind of stuff?" But you know, we got a lot of love. We walked in. We got to meet some great parents. We got to meet Mr. Ambrose, Jackson Ambrose, dad. We got to meet the quarterback Yates's parents, great people. We got to meet a lot of people who didn't we didn't even learn their names, but we appreciate everybody over there who kind of talked to us. There are 3 guys in particular that we did not get their names, and I feel terrible we didn't get their names as we were walking out. You know, myself and Coach Dash were talking about some things, and they came up to us, and actually they said something to us before the game as well. There were 3 linemen. Now, I think they're offensive linemen. They may have been defensive linemen as well, but they're
in the park lot on the way after the game.
On the way out the game, and they gave us a bunch of love, and I feel awful. I didn't get their names. That being said,
look at 3 Madison no linemen, and we asked them. We said, "Where are the eats at?" And they go, "We're going to get chili dogs at Vienna Inn." That's what they said.
Maybe they broke. Would have been great to win a state semifinal game and then beat Josh McNabb's chili dog eaten in one day. That'd have been amazing.
Yeah, if you're a lineman, that's one of your life goals.
But so they came by, said gave us a bunch of love, you know, and those guys tweet at us so we know who you guys are. Nothing like having the big guys. So the skill guy, we have the skill guys with a lot of love on here because they're easy to point out. But those guys over there, you know, it was fantastic to meet all those people, and what a great community. First time ever been to Madison. I've never gone there before. I think you said you've been there once before. Dash, you've been on that field once.
To Madison?
Yeah,
a couple times.
First time over there. It was a great football setup. Awesome. And really enjoyed talking to, and not just that though, but some of the members of the press, who I tell them all the time, we're not real press. We're just 2 school teachers who hang out and talk to each other on the computer all the time.
That's press, buddy. It's 2024. Like the guys over at Dark Visors, which by the Dark Visors guys, cool guys, and like they said, it's a new era, man. We are the press.
So it was great. It was great meeting everybody over there. It was exciting. Definitely. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Great. We had a great time there though.
Yeah. Great atmosphere. A couple of guys to shout out, the Dark Visors guys, real cool dudes. Centerville guys, we started talking to them for a little while.
Yeah.
Levels app. So he was doing some camera stuff, getting some good film on some of the game. And like you said, Mr. Ambrose, Miss Yates, and Mr. Yates, just endless list. The Madison,
the
administration in general.
The one people we had, they were the one he works for ESPN. Abraham
from Scholar Athletes Network, Sports Network. He's fantastic.
Nikki Walcott from
good. Nikki we got Nikki on camera. You know, Nikki was on film. You know, which is great because Nikki's always behind the camera, and it was great to have Nikki kind of pop in and say hi to the stream. Right, the man deserves it. The man deserves all the love.
Good kid.
Yeah. And then Tim Blank, the great Tim Blank came over.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. We really enjoyed it.
Star-studded NoVA
It
affair.
was. It was the who's who.
It was the who's who of NoVA football.
NoVA media, right?
It really was. It was just a fun time.
They walked in front of us while we were trying to call the game.
The incomparable Jake Rom cutting across us.
Not even saying hello.
Everyone else said hello. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, DC-10. It's okay. Now, a couple of things we talked about yesterday. Still waiting for a response from VHSL. So I wrote him an email. You guys saw it. CC'd you guys on it. And that's Carl. I think I CC'd your work email, just so you know.
Yeah, but looks good.
Yeah, I mean, look, to Mike McCall over at VHSL, who runs the communications department. We'd love to go out there and do it. You can get us a spot, the way they've done it in NoVA, on the field. Get us in the booth, even better.
Yeah.
If it's none of the above, then we can do what we do here and have fun and call it. But it'd be kind of cool to be there. So the email's been written, and now the ball is in VHSL's court. We'll see what they say, or if they say anything at all.
What's crazy is that they don't broadcast that game here. They don't broadcast it on just radio.
Oh, like on TV, yeah, like old school TV. It should be.
That's interesting. They don't do that. This is another first place I've been to where they don't. I haven't been to a ton of places, but I'll tell you right now. I know in New Mexico they do it, and California they have Fox Sports LA, and then they broadcast there. And I'm fairly certain because also Arizona has Fox Sports Arizona, and they broadcast the championship games there. I'm surprised. Maybe not, the majors, ABC, NBC, CBS. I'm sure they have contractual obligations on what they need to broadcast, especially on the Saturday. But I can't imagine there's not do they have UHF anymore? I don't even know what they have anymore.
Yeah. Oh, but Weird Al Yankovic. That's a great movie.
Or at the very least, something like the Fox app that they use, right? The Fox local.
That's what it would be. It'd be streamed, but by one of the networks streamed. Yeah. I mean, that makes the most sense. Carl, in Pennsylvania, I'm sure they air it in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, like the local PCN network. It's on local cable, all the PIAA games. My dad always finds it because he's not going out and freezing his butt off. It used to be at Hershey Park, but now it's at Cumberland Valley. But it's on local cable.
I wonder if other parts of Virginia air it, and Southern Virginia, but just up here in, again, Northern Virginia.
I know Rivals does. VA Preps, they do it through YouTube. I remember Matt Hatfield and I forget the coworker. They called the Freedom State Championship game, but that was not on local cable though.
Right,
it was on YouTube. I wonder if it'll be on YouTube. Who knows? What do I know?
I mean, NFHS is going to have NFHS will have it.
NFHS will have it, but to have a full production crew, right, where you get field level shots, you get time in the corner, score,
right, and then you get you have multiple interviews taking place, right? You can have the podcast guys who bring a different vibe and a different energy to it, and you got those guys in the field.
Yeah,
you take it to those guys. I mean, if you really wanted to go out, you could go out. You could have a good time with this.
Yeah, I population here is enough that you would get enough to.
Yeah,
I think to justify that, but
it's gonna beat the old CBS movie of the week on channel on Saturday afternoon. the 4:00 matinee showing of Cocoon.
The 4:00 matinee. Man, how old are we on the 4:00 matinee showing?
I mean, but what's airing on? You know what I'm saying? Like other than football, other than live sports, it's not live sports, right? Collegiate sports or pro sports. It's
next weekend. There's only one game on. Next weekend it's just Army Navy.
Well, there's not
because Army Navy week, and they don't play any of their games on Army Navy week. So
it'd be a no-brainer then.
Some channels should pick it up, but
yeah. Well, we're going to talk to our great friend Chad Ricardo. We'll see what he has to say about this. We'll ask him. Yeah. We'll ask his take on it because the man knows.
Actually, you know what? On our next appearance on Loud AF, I think we should talk about that. We should be like, you know what?
We will. It's a missed opportunity.
And pipe up the merch. Don't forget to do that.
Merch, which by the way is exceeding everyone's expectations. Yeah, you know what? I'm so excited about it. I might order one. We just had an order from. I just saw a couple of Madison parents ordering some merch.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get that MWO shirt going now.
MWO, Madison World Order, taking over.
That's going to sell out in a heartbeat.
I do think this might be the first time in my life I've ever exceeded expectations. I'm pretty good at underwhelming. I think this is the first in my life that I have been overwhelming.
You're overwhelmingly underwhelming guy. But yeah, and anybody we missed out on as far as the thank yous go, then again, thank you to everybody. It was a good time last night. It was fun. Got to see Coach Van Acker and his son.
We did. It was always good to see. Always good to see VA.
He was at Vienna Inn getting chili dogs.
He was. He said he got seated right away. Is what he said. He got seated right away. He said
it was packed though. He was going to smuggle one in for me, a Vienna Inn chili dog.
Really?
I don't think it would have traveled well though. The chili dogs probably don't travel well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to put in some kind of contraption. Anything worse than cold chili?
I don't know, man. If you're hungry, it could be pretty delicious. I'm in. Well, guys, heck of a game yesterday. Before we get into the game, though, we got some players to talk about here, and there was lots of them yesterday. So let's get into see who the biggest appetites were yesterday. Who were the celebrity deli players of the game yesterday? Let's find out. Mesa, what do you think? Offensively, what do you got?
I mean, it's Dominic Nicely. I mean, he is the straw that stirs the drink over there. I mean, he was electric, and you could tell that there was concerted effort to try to limit the amount of plays he did. I had said, I texted people during the game that I thought Braddock was doing a pretty good job of taking away that power toss. That is a staple of that offense, and I thought they were doing an excellent job taking that away. In particularly, right, you didn't want that kid getting loose, but towards the end of the game, he had the dagger that kind of hit that. It was about 83-yard run that he hit.
Yeah,
I mean, he ended up with
right up the middle.
He hit up with 4 touchdowns. Just electric. And I talked about during the game, and we'll get into more when we talk a little about the game though. But you just looked at the way he looked. He looks different than the other players on the football field. He walked the field, and you can tell that the good old Sesame Street, some things not like the other. When he walked the field, you're like, that kid is different than the other people there. Very much reminded me a lot of seeing Jeff Overton play, where Jeff Overton's not a big kid. I mean, you see old film like Derrick Henry walking the field, and you're like, wow, that guy is gigantic. They don't. While they are definitely put together. They're a little slight, but he was a tough tackle. Slippery was the word I used yesterday. Really slippery, just really able, just not really easy to get a clean shot at him. Which he did take some shots too. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were a couple times Braddock came in. They were towards that third quarter. They were definitely hitting him, but he just looked electric. I mean, he looked pretty amazing.
Yeah. Any other standouts to you, Carl, offensively before we move on to defense?
I agree with everything Coach Mason said about Nisley. He's really locked in right now, and he looks fired up. And we've talked about him in terms of commitment wise. Is he locked in with Coastal Carolina, or is he going to give another school an opportunity? There was some confusion with that this week, but he just looks like a guy that if Coastal Carolina doesn't have this guy on campus in January, then somebody like a James Madison definitely will be. He's dominating the game right now. The only other guy really offensively I really thought stood out was number 24, Jack. How do you pronounce his last name? Riccadaro?
I'm going to go with Riccadillo.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he had some nice runs. I thought Braddock had a great defensive game plan. And, outside of, that big long run nicely had, I thought they did a great job containing the power toss, but I thought Riccadillo had some tough runs too. Other than that, it was really like the Warhawks, what they do. It was a lot of defensive standouts, honestly.
Yeah. Well, Riccadillo looked like a young, DeVito in there scoring those touchdowns. He looked fantastic. And I liked, I know it wasn't a big passing kind of day, but I like watching Yates play. He's smart. Yeah. I mentioned that a couple of times yesterday. He's just smart. He's composed. He's always calm.
Right. He's not turning the ball over. He takes care of the football. He's really done that the last couple of years for the Warhawks. And, quite the career for Yates. He's another guy, doesn't get enough credit for everything Madison's done. He's been the starting quarterback. They're 15-0. A good part is because of his play, too. He didn't have any turnovers inside the 10-yard line or an interception like his counterpart did yesterday. Just really smart with the football, and he's going to have to continue that next week too.
Yeah, and you know, and part of that non-recognition, I think, is size. People like to poop on the undersized QBs. I have my issues with people who don't like the undersized quarterback. You know that.
You got a soft place. You got a soft place in your heart for that one.
I do. My son was an undersized quarterback, and I always say take some of these guys. You take a Yates and you make him 6'3", and all of a sudden he's freaking one of the top quarterbacks in this area and getting freaking all
without a doubt.
Same skill set, everything else that he has, same everything else. But you give him 5 inches, 4 inches, and all of a sudden, everyone's drooling over him. So that's always my thing about the undersized quarterbacks. Don't get enough love. I do. I'm out there beating the drum for him.
No, that's 100% correct. If he was 6'2" or higher, he's probably committed to a Power 4 school right now. But he's 5'9" and he plays like 6'5". But unfortunately, now he's 5'9".
Yeah. So, awesome job by those guys. And again, look who we're naming. We're naming guys, Yates, you're naming nicely, guys who've been the guys all year, right? Guys, big guys play, right? Now, defensively, Carl, let you start off with this one. Who was that? We're going to name a few guys now, but who was that one guy yesterday, that player of the game for you?
That would be number 6, Jack Ambrose. He was the man yesterday. What made his last game in Madison's field might have been his best game. I counted 3 sacks. He had the big punt block. He was all over the place yesterday, and a great career there for the Warhawks. Ambrose was my player of the game.
Yeah, Mason, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. He had big while other players also had good. They had a couple players with some picks. He had big plays in big moments of the game, right? That block punt is kind of where Madison kind of never looked back. It gave a 2-score lead, and they never relinquished that 2-score lead. It kind of gave them enough breathing room between there, and those sacks were big sacks. A couple times, Braddock had some momentum going when he ended up getting those sacks, and those are game-changing plays. And I think when you have a player like that, that's what you need from him, right? You need your big player to step up in big spots, and I think he did. But I think that goes to talk about the fact that you have a Madison team that these kids, since they're freshmen, have been either in the state final or state semifinal every year they're there, right? So the moments are too big for them, right? It's not something that's new for them. It's not something that gets, and so you have a kid like that, and like you said, I am fairly certain they probably had some younger kids on that Madison field, because there are a couple kids who had different jerseys slightly, right? So you can tell they're probably not your normally varsity guys, and I'm willing to bet those guys were, probably freshmen, and odds are probably guys like Ambrose and Nicely were probably those guys 3 years ago, right? On that way to a state. So they've kind of been in that moment. So yeah, it was a huge moment for them.
Yeah, I agree on Ambrose. I think he was a stud. I've been calling him Brian Urlacher all year, and he stepped up to it, man. He looked so good. Just a tough son of a gun. Tough son of a gun. Brings it all day long. And if it was a double big week for him, speaking to his dad said he learned who Bobby the Brain Heenan was this week. So young Ambrose, he wins. What a treat of a weekend. You learn who Bobby the Brain Heenan is, and you win a state, semifinal. That's a huge weekend.
Yeah.
Big wrestling family, which I found out. Which, again, soft place in all of our hearts. We all love, wrestling families. I know Carl loves wrestling. Carl's a wrestling guy, his family.
Die hard. There's the Hart Dynasty. There's the Maivias. There's the Rocks family.
That's history. Right. Now the Ambrose family right there. They make the cut. They make the cut.
They're getting there.
Any other standouts defensively for you guys?
I had Caden Green. He had the fumble recovery, and he's been a force up front for Madison all year on the D line. He's the guy I wrote in one of my pieces. That's another senior who deserves some offers. But I thought he played well. Who else? Gorkowski, 33, who had the interception. That was huge. That was a big turning point in the game.
Huge.
And right before halftime. I don't know what Lake Braddock was doing with that play calling, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But Luke Salvosa, I thought, also played well defensively. Madison just doesn't err, except maybe a little bit in the secondary. They're a little leaky there, but overall, they're a defense that, you mess up once, they're gonna make you pay.
Yeah, Mason. Any other standouts? That what do you think?
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay,
Henry Maiden is another one that.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the other one, the Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden. I mean, always tough, always reliable, right?
Oh, he's had a great year.
Yeah, man. Well, I agree with you. Congrats to the Madison offense and defense. Congratulations to our celebrity players of the game, celebrity deli players of the game, Dom Nicely and our man Ambrose, tough as nails, tough as nails. All right, guys. Well, now we get into it. We'll start from the beginning. We said it early on, I think in our pregame that Lake Braddock had to score, and they had to score early.
Yeah.
And we blinked an eye, and it was 14-0. So, Mason, go ahead and kind of lead us off here on kind of the start of things and how things kind of fell apart so quickly.
Well, I don't know if I'd say fall apart, but I will say that Madison kind of what's what I'm looking for. They kind of impose their will early in the game, right? They get the ball. There's a big third down that Yates actually makes a big play on, rolling out to his left.
Yes,
he's able to find Jackson. Is able to find nicely open in the sideline. I don't think that was by design. I think that was freelancing a little bit on there. But kind of goes downfield and gets that first score, which I think is a good. A lot of times in these games you get a feeling out session where maybe you get 2, 3 and outs, and that wasn't the case, right? He goes down 7-0. Braddock then can't get anything going offensively. They keep on going 3 and out, and then the huge punt block, a special teams blunder. And I coached with a guy years ago who used to have like this book, and it had like winning percentage based on certain plays happening, and a special teams touchdown, your odds of winning goes up by like 40%. And to have that happen early in the game is huge. And I'm curious. We weren't, from our vantage point, we couldn't see what happened. I wasn't sure if it was a bad snap. I don't think it was. I haven't got a chance to go back and look at the film. And I know the Braddock staff prepares for this kind of stuff. So I'm curious if they had some kind of block called by Madison, if they'd seen something. And that goes to where when you're looking at special teams. I coached with a guy for a lot of years who was really good at getting punt blocks. He would analyze the blocking scheme of the punt team he's playing against, and he could find not necessarily the weakness of the type of punt or the scheme, but he could find the weakness in the person who didn't really want to be there, maybe whatever. So maybe they saw that. I don't know. I couldn't see where it was from, but they get a punt for a touchdown. It's 14-0, and you're looking up, and we're not even half done with the first quarter. When they look up now, it's 14-0. And now the pressure starts to set in, right? The pressure starts to set in, being like, uh-oh, if we get down 3 scores, like we're now going to be scrambling. And I believe it ends the first quarter at 14-0.
Yeah. I mean, Carl, your thoughts early in that game?
No, it was really playing right into like Madison's hands. I mean, they get the stand defensively. I mean, and Lake Braddock was just, we saw it for much of the first half. They couldn't get anything going. They couldn't get that vaunted running game, that 3-headed monster of Bordeaux, Callanan, and Peyton Holmes going. So they're really stagnant. It was 14-0, and then remember, nicely broke that long run in the second quarter, and they set up another touchdown. I believe it was Yates threw it to make it 21-0. Wasn't that to Nicely too?
It might have been. Yeah, and I said 4 touchdowns a game, so I'd imagine probably.
Anyone have the stats up?
See, Max Preps doesn't have the accurate players who score the touchdowns. Like it says, and Max Prep. That's the only one I have. Lake Braddock stats.
Yeah, well, bring up the Braddock stats if you have them, because you just said couldn't get the running game going. I'm going to
they ran the ball 13 times for negative.
Yeah. I'm going to use the word wouldn't get the running game going because early on, first of all, some of those carries are later on. And then not early in the game. And then secondly, those minus yards. Remember that one pitch out?
The minus yards all came from sacks off of
and then there was that. Remember the pitch to Peyton Holmes ended up it went backwards and they ended up losing a bunch.
Yeah.
Well, according to Peyton Holmes had 1 carry for 0 yards. Are the stats they put up. Braddock is pretty reliable.
Callanan had only 1 carry for 1 yard. Bordeaux had 5 carries for 10 yards. He was an all-conference.
Yes, I said this in the show, Mason, last week that because Bordeaux in that game had 7 carries for the game. This game he has 10. I said, you're not going to, I said it, you're not going to win if you don't get the running game going.
Well, so I'll push back a little bit. I think Braddock had a
go.
plan, what they liked, and it was throwing those outs and quick things on the outside to them. And to be fair, even down 14-0, I don't think I'm going to scrap what because they hadn't run a lot of plays to begin with. I don't think I'd scrap that to begin with. Now I agree that the run game probably should have been in there, but I think there were some things they saw that they liked, and they were still open. Those things were still there.
No, but here's the problem. Here's the problem. I understand what you're saying in terms of the overall game plan. Even within that overall game plan, there was moments for the running game to go. How about all those red zone opportunities? And you're still throwing the ball from the 1 or 2 yard line?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're gonna talk about quarter by quarter, I mean, if you want to go into we can go. I mean, if you want to talk about, we could talk about that drive that I think essentially was the ball game, right?
Right, but I'm just before getting into specifics, just broadly, there wasn't just one drive. There were several opportunities in the goal line where they lack of a running game killed them. And I'm going to say this, and this is not just Braddock. This is a lot of teams from pro all the way down to youth league now, not being able to get under center. That's a major problem that a lot of teams are having. And you're going to war. You're going to war with one less weapon than your opponent.
So here's why I'll defend Braddock on this, and you and I both know I'm in agreement you should be under center, but I think that should be something you do early on. I think you get to this point in the season and you're going to dance with the girl you brought, and if this is who you've been all year, I don't know if getting under center for this game. Now I do agree. I think you should.
Yeah, I don't mean just mean I mean not having it in your repertoire in general. Yeah. I don't mean not having it for this game.
I'm just saying in as far as yesterday, and I was critical of them not being under center. But if this is what they'd been all year, this is what they had been all year. Now I did notice that fourth down they ended up going into a run heavy formation. Essentially was a single wing formation, right? Because they're kind of 3 running backs. Which is a run base thing. But I think for this game in particular, I think sometimes you may get upset because they didn't do that certain thing. But if that's not who you've been all year, I just kind of think you dance with.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about from youth league all the way to it wasn't Braddock specific, but I'm talking about how teams have lost the ability to get under center.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a lost start. It's a lost start for. I mean, I'll tell you right now, there have been kids I've coached who I'm like, okay, we're gonna go into center. We're gonna put something in this week going to center. And he was like, I've never done it. And you're like, crap. You're 17 years old. I'm gonna try to teach you how to take a snap in essentially 4 hours. Like, am I gonna try to get that done? And then all of a sudden, it's a really dicey thing to do because now you're like, uh-oh. I mean, is he gonna walk up? Is he gonna pucker up a little bit and walk up? And he's gonna fumble a snap. And it's surprising where we're at in football, where that is now not. I mean, and you're right. If you go to youth football, I mean, there was a time being in the shotgun youth football was
right
mind blowing. Nobody was a shotgun youth football, right? Everybody was under center, but now everybody wants to be, run and gun and snap the ball away from them, and which makes sense for a lot of reasons. Getting them away from the line of scrimmage, but the fact that we have kids who can't get under center, and have to take a snap. Is really interesting. So,
all right, that sidebar. So go ahead, Carl.
No, I mean, like, these passing numbers for Lake Braddock look really, really absurd, quite frankly, and very impressive. I mean, but like the running game aspect of it, maybe if they would have mixed in or this week, under center package or a more. I mean, I would have mixed and matched more yesterday. I get what Coach Mason's saying. Like, they had stuff there early. They want to stick with their attack, but. Maybe if they had more of a rushing attack, they might have, might pull off this game. I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of things that factored in and it kind of spiraled, but like their passing numbers, like Jackson threw for 389 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll get into that in a second because I mean, come second half.
Yeah.
So
I wish we could see half. I wish we could see the comparison by half.
Yes.
I want to bet almost 300 of those yards come in the second half.
Yeah,
so definitely get into that second quarter, and we can talk about really the only thing that mattered in that second quarter is Braddock goes on a 98-yard drive.
Man.
I mean, they look like they had figured it out, right? 21-0. It looked like they were going to get in there And then on not early on drive, they get inside the red zone, and Ty Jackson rolls out, and he throws what is an ill-advised pass that ends up getting caught by the tight end.
Hibner?
It ends up getting caught by Hibner. And I'm like, ooh, you got away with one there. To his left, throwing back to his right, and kind of gets him there. He kind of boxes him out, right? Catches the ball. Great play. I mean, Hibner's a big kid. I mean, that's what we expect him to do. And then they get down to the about the 1 yard line. I think they run the ball once and they get stuffed. And then they call a pass on what I think is second down. And same scenario. He's rolling to his left. He's left-handed. Throws it back to his right. The ball comes popping off of. I can't remember whose hand it was, and it gets up interception. I mean, that was the dagger. That was it right there. Now the second half.
Remember, they were going to get the ball at halftime too.
That's right.
It kind of let Madison off the hook, right? They had finally got a rhythm going. I know calling an offense, it looked like offensively they had the play caller had a rhythm going, right?
Yes, it did.
Kind of like everything started working again, and it was kind of going 3 and out. Wasn't there anymore. They looked really good, but that right there, that interception right before the half, I mean,
and we were talking about this again in real time as it was happening. And one thing that I said was at this point, they did it all year with Suris. They did it all year, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a great opportunity right there to put in Suris as kind of a Taysom Hill type there. Kind of maybe keep it, maybe give or pull. Try that a couple times, closer from the end zone. Suris is a very willing runner, kind of a tough runner. And I thought, I mean, you do that 3 or 4 times there in the goal line.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And we were saying it. This is not the kind of thing we were Tuesday morning quarterbacking it. We were saying this live before the interception.
Yeah. So yeah, that just essentially was the dagger of the game. It was the dagger of the game, and you feel again. Ty Jackson's probably 16, 17 years old, and he was trying to make a play. He was trying to make a play.
I don't hold that again.
Yeah. Look, no, I know you're not. I'm just saying, it's just one of those moments right there and that's where sometimes the no huddle can be a disservice, right? As opposed to bring him over the sideline. Okay, this play we're calling. Hey, if I remember vividly, there was a game I was coaching when I was in New Mexico, and we were in the same situation. Now we also were in the gun. We didn't have an under center thing, but he came to the sideline, and actually because it was back plays on the third down. I said, if it's not there, just get rid of it. We'll play for fourth down. But it's a chance for you to kind of reiterate to your player, as they come to the sideline. Hey, just remember, if you don't like it, get rid of it. And then he did. And then on the fourth down, he came when I called the play again. It was a sprint out that I called for him. I said, this is fourth down. The ball can't stay in your hand. So if you think you're going down, I don't care. Chuck it over your head, do whatever you have to do, but don't take the sack because it's fourth down. It doesn't matter at this point anyway. The game's online. So I think sometimes in the no huddle, that's the one thing, especially when you're coaching younger kids, when you're coaching, kids who are in that situation. When you're in the pros or you got college, maybe it's a little different because of the amount of time they spend to kind of go those scenarios, right? I mean, when you're in the college and the pros, your goal line session could be 45 minutes, and that's a long time to talk to somebody. And you're talking to a little more, as opposed to high school practices are an hour and a half. How long is your goal line session? 15 minutes, if that. I mean, and a lot of teams don't, right? A lot of teams don't spend a lot of time on a goal line session, and again, young kid. That's where I think sometimes the no huddle can be a disadvantage because you can't tell him, hey, just remember this before you leave, right? Just remember this before you leave, and that's kind of scenario they were into.
Now, I there was a timeout taken though.
There was
you and Carl.
I don't believe there. I don't think there was a timeout taken before that play. I think
no, not before that, but maybe like a play or two earlier.
Yeah,
because I looked at it and said, "Well, that's smart. It's smart." I remember saying, "Smart timeout. You can't take it with you."
I remember that one.
Yeah, you can't take them with you. Smart timeout. So, I mean, they had just used a play or two earlier. I just felt like, I mean, if you're going to run, you got we talk about Bordeaux all year and those guys. I'm talking, and again, it depends on what's in the repertoire. What do they have? What have they gone over? Right, that's part of, and we don't know. We don't know. We're just kind of speculating. But a direct. I always like a nice direct snap. You see teams do it with Derrick Henry, little direct snap. I like a Bordeaux direct snap. I mean, I think there's things you could do there on that first drive that maybe would have worked. And even, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the next quarter. Let's talk about the third quarter, right?
Yeah. So
they get the ball back, right? And they drive down the field again.
You got to go back. They drive the field and they score.
Yeah.
You know, and it's also now, while this is where I give Braddock a ton of credit, man. Going 21-0 at the half after that interception to drive the field and get a touchdown is a really kind of a credit to both the Braddock staff and those players. I mean,
for sure, 100%.
A lot of kids in that situation would have freaking starting to spiral, right? But they didn't. They go down. And
to their credit, look, I mean, I know ifs, ands, and buts, and all that kind of stuff, and horseshoes and hand grenades and all those cliches, but block punt, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
Right. Take away one. Just hypothetically take one score off Madison.
Yeah.
And then give Braddock that touchdown that they threw the interception on from the goal line. After that second half, after that first drive of the second half, that's a 14-14 ball game, hypothetically.
Yeah.
And another thing too is you could see Lake Braddock, like Coach Mace was talking about earlier, they wanted to establish, their passing game, those quick outs, and right in the third quarter, Mr. Kai Austin really took over. I mean, his final numbers are ridiculous from this outing. If that's his final game for Lake Braddock. He had 12 catches for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow. So again, I wish we could see a breakdown when he got those. I'm going to bet he got those after that drive. So I don't know if you guys remember, Robert Holine was the guy who started making plays.
That's what I mean. Like, it was like,
yeah. Robert Holine.
They both had ridiculous numbers.
Yeah. But I think that drive in particular, I remember talking about, looking at it. Holine was the one who really did well on that drive, right? Because they had a concerted effort to kind of take away. If you noticed, it was a different corner on Kai Austin all the time. It seemed like they had 2 different corners kind of rotating on him. And I don't think Kai Austin switches sides of the field. I think he remains on one side of the field. But they kind of had different corners on him. And then once Holine started making plays, they couldn't do that anymore. They had to adjust. And Madison, fantastic defense. Their game planning is top notch. But I think maybe that's another thing that Braddock kind of figured out, that look, other guys have got to start making plays, and I think Holine really stepped up.
Yeah, had 6 catches, 104 yards, and Xavier Maine had a couple of nice catches on that one drive too. He had 4 receptions on the day, so they did, like you said, the Bruins had other options, and that just led to Kai Austin's, who's already had a great career for the Bruins, maybe his best game as a Bruin.
Yeah, I mean, what a big game to have. Madison gets another touchdown. They end the fourth quarter at 28-7, and we started putting we started putting a little dirt on the Braddock casket, but Braddock refused to go away. Kai Austin hits that out and up, probably about 60-yard out and up.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty, wasn't it?
And perfect in stride, right. I mean, it was right in front of us.
The 2 Madison defenders crashing into each other.
Yeah, I mean, Ty Jackson's arm, man, just a flick of his wrist. I mean,
flick of the wrist.
That is not coached. That is not coached.
Mm-hmm.
That is God given. I mean, to be able to do that. I mean, you could say, less than probably 1% of the people in the world can do that with arm talent like that, right? I mean, that is something you just can't teach. To just one flick of the wrist and watch the ball just.
That right there is why he is the top ranked recruit, and that's why a lot of FBS schools will be interested in him in this offseason. That is God given. You are correct.
And the mobility too. Like, I think his mobility is a little underrated. I know he was, remember he had the surgery earlier in the year, this season, like 5 weeks ago. So I'm sure he's not 100%, which is probably another reason why I was kind of saying, maybe to put someone in there for some of those goal line carries, a different quarterback in there. But when he had to, they threw it again on that third down. He got him down to the 1 yard line in the third quarter when he ran and kind of and got his way down. And I thought he extended. I thought he scored. When we were talking about this, I thought 2 things. One, we had a great vantage point of 2 huge plays in that game. We had a great vantage point. One, that wasn't a fumble.
No,
it wasn't a fumble. We were laughing. We were telling them, we were like, hey, we could be the review board. We saw it clear as day. We can answer the question.
Yeah, we didn't get buzzed. We didn't get buzzed in.
Right. It was not a fumble. We saw it. I mean, it's hard for the officials. There's no instant replay. It is what it is. But we saw it. It wasn't a fumble. A, and then B, on the extension, I thought he got it.
Yeah.
On the extension, I thought he got it.
And and then Madison gets another touchdown, and then the fourth quarter they each kind of exchange touchdowns over there. Nicely puts the game away with that long, like I said, must have been an 84-yard run to kind of close the game. And
so smooth.
But another big thing was when Madison had to have plays on defense, they end up getting them. And those sacks were huge. Getting Braddock off schedule all game was probably another key point of the game. I mean, their ability to get in the backfield in a hurry was pretty impressive. It seemed like a clean rusher was coming through all the time.
Yeah. That's true.
I just noticed every time a clean rusher was coming through all the time. It seemed like they were attacking Braddock's pass pro scheme pretty effectively.
Yeah,
it was pretty impressive. But they're just a really solid football team. I think I talked about a little before. When they walk in the field, they do not look impressive. They don't. We talked before. When we were at the
you said that pregame
Hayfield game, Riverdale Baptist walking the field, you were like, my God, these kids are giant. And just talking about, because I've been to other places in California, when Long Beach Poly was rolling, they walked the field. You're like, good God, they're giants. The receivers are huge. The linemen are huge. The backers are huge. They're just big individuals. I love talk about nicely. You see the private schools, things like Bosco and Modern Day, they're watching the field. You're like, we have normal humans. They have kids who look like they've been built in a lab.
Right.
Madison doesn't have that, but they have just a solid bunch of football players. I mean, that seems like that. Now Dom Nicely obviously is next level talent. But for the most part, you look at them and they look like normal high school football players. They look like
tough as nails.
Tough as nails. Oh, 100%.
Tough as nails. High football IQ.
Yeah.
They move fast, right?
Yes.
Like you talk about football speed, right? Football speed. Yeah. Maybe if they go to a combine, they're not going to run a 4.3 40. But when that defense, when they come make a tackle, I mean, they get there fast.
That's the other thing is just watching them, their tackle technique and their ability to be in the right position is really impressive. They tackle.
They don't err. They really don't err on defense.
Yeah. I mean, just look at where they're at, right? They're I mean, if you watch them tackle in full speed, just kind of their body position, right? Their heads on the hip, they're running through the thighs, they're doing everything correctly, and also they rally. I mean, when they have a hold of somebody, you don't see guys kind of jogging over there. Everybody's trying to get to the party.
Yeah.
And that is, a thing that, that you can use to coach kids, right? Be like, look at how this team rallies to the football.
Yep.
Just look at them get after it. They are not the biggest, strongest kids in the world, but you can't beat 11 of them. If one guy has a hold of you and 10 other guys coming, I don't care who it is, that guy's not running through there. So, I mean, that's kind of my impression of what I saw yesterday with Madison.
Yeah, it's impressive. I do want to give shout out to Braddock. They did the gauntlet, right? They went through however many games and how many days, right? It was crazy. All their coaches, Coach Doc, Coach Gall, Coach Crush, and they did a great job all year. We love Braddock, and so kudos to them on an outstanding season. All the guys graduating, Kai Austin, Bordeaux, all these guys who are graduating. Trent Payne, et cetera, Maines, outstanding season, outstanding careers, outstanding game, all those guys.
And back-to-back region champs for that senior class. That's pretty cool feat for them.
Right. And to think, remember Doc couldn't get over that hump for so long. Now he's freaking camping out there. He's camping out as the region champ. Now Doc's the guy. That's the new standard bearer, right?
Yeah.
Back to back. And Braddock, we talk about it, they reload. Certain teams,
I mean, they have Jackson. Jackson's a junior. Holmes is a junior. Zachary Hibner, tight end, he's a junior. Isaac Thigh, he's a sophomore. He made some plays yesterday, so they got some guys coming back. They'll be back.
Yeah. Braddock always reloads. But it was Madison's day, right? It was Madison's day, and just fun team, fun atmosphere. Now, and they also reload. I know they were senior heavy. We talked about it all year, but something tells me that Madison's going to have some guys every year.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about as far as Madison goes, at the end of the game, I kind of commented on it. They looked happy. I'm not saying they didn't look happy, but you could tell this is not the end goal for them. I mean, these
Yeah.
kids they've been knocking at the door now for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think I talked about a little about in the live. Kobe Bryant has that real famous thing where they're talking to him after they're up on the Celtics, and he says, "Job's not done." What are we talking about? Job's not done. And I feel like that's what you have from Madison right now, right? Madison's like, we've been here before. These kids have been to the title game. We've done all this. We those kids have played into December every year they've been in high school, and it seems like for them they kind of tell that the job is not done. And I'm sure in their minds they're like, anything less now than a state championship would be unsatisfying. Where a lot of teams, maybe if they get to the state championship after not being there, or maybe not being there for a long time, but these kids in particular, you can tell like they are focused, they're excited, to try to get. They're excited about being there, but they definitely are like, we want to get the ring, because again, like I said, I just got the feeling, I kept on hearing it, Kobe Bryant saying, "Job not done, job's not done."
Yeah,
right. This is not. They're not happy to be here. They're not just happy to be like, "Oh, it's great, we made it." We'll see what happens. No, they definitely are like, "Look, we've been for 3 out of the 4 years they've been there. They've been one step away, right? They've had their hand on the top of Mount Everest. They've got their hand right at the top. All they gotta do is just pull up, and they're on top of the mountain. I'm sure at this point they're pretty tired of just having their hand up there, being so close.
Yeah, no, you're right. And you said it yesterday. You said it, and I noticed it when you said that it looked like it was all business.
Yeah.
They celebrated. They were happy. Hugged their parents. Hugged the coaches. Getting their chili dogs. And then they said, "All right, let's do it. On to Cincinnati, right? Bill Belichick style.
On to Cincinnati.
On to Oscar Smith.
On to Oscar Smith.
Climbing that mountain. They're Rocky, and they're yelling, "Drago, Drago!" I mean, they're yelling Oscar right on top of the mountain.
They're yelling Tigers. They're yelling Tigers.
Right.
The Oscar Smith Tigers.
Right.
Are we the Russians in the Mercedes following them along as they're running up the mountain?
Falling off the road, losing them.
Well, or either that, or we're Uncle Paulie, who don't have their funnies over there in Moscow. They don't have my funnies. I mean, so look, perfect segue, right? Oscar Smith, I mean, close game, right? In the first half. What do we think about the way the Colonial Forge game went down?
We didn't see very much, but I mean, close game bodes well. But I think
14-7 at halftime.
Yeah, I think Colonial Forge, and I'm sure Carl can talk a little about it. Colonial Forge's got some talent. They've been very underrated all year, right? Yeah. They lost a couple close games at Stafford, North Stafford, who also very talented. I think Region B gets really overlooked a lot for the amount of talent that they have. Now Freedom's come out of there, and they've been kind of the headliner. But Region B has got a lot of talent over there, and I think maybe they were a little undersold early on. Now our understanding is that Oscar Smith pulls away in the second half. We haven't watched a lot of film on him. If we've kind of peeked at some highlights here and there. But it looked like a close first half. I mean, we come in here at 0-0, and they're like, "Ooh,
yeah," and then 7-0 for a little while, and 14-7 at half. And the one thing we were saying, 14-7 at half, we're like, any team here, Braddock, Madison, got to be kind of a little excited about that, right? I mean, 14-7. That told me at halftime. Now I know they pulled away, but it does tell you that you can play with these guys. Now you better bring your A game, right? They bring your A game, but you can play with these guys.
Yeah. Oscar Smith too they look like the new big in terms of like down south or like in the Chesapeake area. They look like they're ready to make a run here too. They took down Highland Springs 2 weeks ago, who, if you guys will know, was the team that lost to Freedom in the Class 6 final last year and was one of the few teams to give Overton, or keep it respectable. They kept it within a score. Right. So Oscar Smith beat them a couple weeks ago. They really, offensively, they're young in a lot of spots, but they're explosive too. Like we talked about what we saw out of Kyle Austin yesterday. They have a receiver in Travis Johnson. He's a junior wideout. I texted you guys his profile. I think he's about 6'3", 6'4", can run like a deer. Already has a bunch of FBS level offers. He's going to be a problem. Their quarterback, Lonnie Andrews, is a sophomore. He's really efficient with the football. They have a power running game. But what scares you the most about Oscar Smith is defensively, I believe they pitched 4, maybe 5 shutouts on the year already at 15-0. and they have at least two defensive starters in the backfield, Jamari Deloach and Jane Lane, who are Division I commits, including Jamari Deloach, who just switched on signing day from Cincinnati to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and I know watching the highlights of the Colonial Forge game, I saw some of those guys making plays in that game. Quarterback looked good, to your point. So that's something. And obviously, we're going to watch some film over the next couple of days, and we're going to come and do our preview show on this Madison Oscar Smith, Rumble in Moscow, and we're gonna go over that, right? So I mean, to like to your point, Mesa, to handily beat a team from that region, that's no joke of a region.
No, I mean, well,
right?
Here are the three playoff games: 35-0, 28-7, 42-7.
Right.
I mean, and just looking at their scores, they have played 2 tight games all year. I mean, relatively tight. 27-12 against Kings Fork and 22-6 against Indian River, which
Two are good teams.
Yeah.
And other than that, they have been just destroying teams.
Right. So, but they haven't seen, we'll see. No NoVA teams on there this year.
Yeah, you guys are right about Region B being like really underrated. I mean, Colonial Forge won this region as a 6th seed. They got off to the slow start. They had a nail biter with Patriot earlier in the year. And they had, they hats off to the Eagles. They had a tremendous year to come back, and they really got it going offensively. And they smoked Patriot in the Region B final, 42-14, with that quarterback Brock Brimhole, who had an outstanding year. They got a freshman receiver in Darian Maheed, who looks like he's going to be the next big star. So yeah, the Eagles, hats off to them. That was quite the year.
Yeah, and that tells you how good that region is. That no one even batted an eye. Like them as a 6th seed, it was kind of, they're a 6th seed. Oh, but everyone over there is tough, right? So it's like that's how impressive that whole region is that.
I mean, it's also going even more to that, like Forest Park and Osborne, schools that finished 6 and 4.
Yes,
good squads didn't make the playoffs in that region.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, our understanding is there's gonna be some shakeup, so hopefully we kind of balance these things out.
Well, in the meantime, kind of excited about previewing this matchup. Congratulations to Madison. Congratulations to Braddock, Oscar Smith, and Colonial Forge. And then there were 2, gentlemen. And then there were 2.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun preview show. Get ready to. I know Mason's already got the Oscar Smith film up. He's looking at it. He's hanging out in Gruden's Fired Coaches Association office watching.
He's in Gruden's basement.
What do they call it? I think it's called the Fired Football Coaches Association, the FF.
He's in Gruden's basement right now auditioning.
all of a sudden, we've gotten criticism from people in the Chesapeake Bay telling us that we don't really watch Oscar Smith a lot, which I don't think we were claimed to have watched.
Right. Last I checked, we were the Northern Virginia pod. But now that we're here, when our next show, we'll have some info. We'll cover all of it. And Carl's already dropping names from Oscar Smith. So we got it covered. We got you covered down in Chesapeake.
Yeah. Buy the merch if you're gonna talk crap. Buy the merch.
That's right. You can buy the merch and then you can burn it if you beat us. If you beat Northern Virginia, you can wave it around. Do whatever you want with it. But yeah, guys, it's gonna be a fun one. Yeah, I think we're all ready to watch some football here, right?
I gotta get my Christmas tree. Wish me luck.
Oh man, yeah. Good luck with that one. Good luck.
Yeah.
They're not cheap, but you buying a new tree? Because I'll tell you what, we buy a fresh tree every year. I bought a fresh tree the other day. Woo.
Do you have any recommendations? I was just gonna get a fake one, but if I'm open for a real one.
I mean, yeah, I like balsams. Balsams make a good tree. I mean, I don't know. Blue fescue. That grass. That's a grass. Or whatever, man.
All right. Well,
there's a blue pine. It's a blue spruce.
Causes infection. Like get on the skin, cause infection.
That's right. That's right. Bargain with the guy, I say. I watch Christmas Story, right? You got the lamp right here. You got to make sure you bargain with the guy. You got to be
What if I-
shrewder than an Arab trader, as they say.
If I do an all Hitches name drop, will I get a discount for this guy, or like?
They might escort you off the premises. All right, guys.
brother.
Well, it's been fun. We'll do it again in a few days and preview Oscar Smith versus Madison, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Well, from Coach Mesa and Carl Frederick from Prep Red Zone, we'll see you guys next time on All Hitches.
Yeah.